Fellas, if you are familiar with the Cakecore marathons, then you should also be familiar with Sten's famous transitions, and he will be doing one today. Uh,
Boy.
and Sten, if you're all set, then take it away. You got the reins.
Yes, yeah, totally. No, I 100% prepared for this transition in the method that I did last year. Um, which also means that I did not prepare at all. Uh, but considering I'm a professional content creator, according to my good friend Firecracker, I can totally talk for 20 minutes without leaving any awkward silences. Right? Yeah. Yes, of course. Um, okay, well, first off, I would like to ask for a round of applause in chat, people, because these guys have managed to gather up well, I mean, right about $900, which is crazy. It's all for the kids, but I I'm just I'm impressed, and I'm so proud of them. It's I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm not stalling, I swear. Uh, no, it is pretty amazing that every single year they go and raise money for Extra Life. Um, I I appreciate it a lot, and I wish I could have joined more often. But at least I'm here this year, so that's all we can really ask for, really, because yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So right now the lads are setting up to go and play some uh CS:GO competitive. Wow, it's been a very long time since I've played CS:GO. I wonder if I even know how to do it still. Not that I'm joining or anything, but just out of curiosity, you know. Very curious. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So, what I was basically thinking for my transition is I know there's always people in chat that don't quite as often play U8Cs or anything. And I personally have quite a specific take on what constitutes like the start mostly of UHC or playing a UHC. So I figured I'd go through that for a little bit and just have a little chat here and there about what I think is how you can start a UHC and get the best bang out of your buck. No, time out of your no bang out of your time. You just we'll leave it there. Yeah, no. For UHC, um, which is a game mode that we played yesterday, which I was in for the first time in forever this time around. So there's something there. It basically is a game mode in Minecraft where you get dropped in an arena and you don't have natural health regeneration when your food is all the way up. So the only way to regenerate health is through healing items such as golden apples and healing potions. Um, Interestingly enough, nobody abused the suspicious stew method yesterday, which I appreciate a lot. Because, oxide daisies give you regeneration. It's quite strong. But that's besides the point. Um, in order to regenerate health, you need to get healing items, which mostly use gold. Um, and besides that, you have to survive in the arena until you're the last person standing. Obviously, since I won yesterday, I figured this would be the right point in time to actually do this little tutorial, tiny tutorial, TT. Hey. So yeah, here we are. I usually start U8Cs with gathering a six. I'm holding a thumb to my right hand to make six. I don't know why, because I'm not on camera right now, but I'm doing it nonetheless. And you'd want to gather six different types of items. The first two are fairly obvious. You need wood, because if you cave and you don't have wood, then you're in trouble. And you need food, for the same reason, I suppose. Wood and food are the staples. And next to the wood is apples. So in order to make healing items called golden apples, obviously, you need red apples. So, and I'm not talking about the red apples, because we're not in the 90s anymore. But red apples, besides red apples, you want to enchant. And in order to enchant, you need a book, 2 diamonds, and 4 obsidian. So what you want to gather is at least 3 sugarcane or reeds or whatever they're called in the game these days, and 1 leather. Should you stumble upon a village, you can always try to find some bookshelves in the village and just take the books from there. Maybe you'll get lucky, you'll find a chest in a blacksmith, and the chest will hold some obsidian, and you won't have to bother with making a diamond pickaxe. But you know, those are that's luck. That's not something you need to bank on. Jesus, my words. So yeah, you want to get the reeds and the leather. That's number 5. And last but not least, you want to try and find some feathers from chickens to make arrows. Arrows are kind of a tricky thing in UHC, because if you don't get a lot of feathers, you won't have a lot of arrows, because you only get 4 per feather. So it's tricky, but it's still doable. Some games will have extra arrows where they make 8 instead of 4. Sometimes you can fight a lot of skeletons along the way and get a lot of arrows that way, or I don't know, find them in a jungle temple, for example, which is also still an option. Or you just wait until your enemies shoot all the arrows at you and you grab those. Those are all valid options, but you want to try at least find some chickens on day 1. Now, in order to do all of this, you have about 10 minutes, realistically, because after 10 minutes, the sun will start going down. And if you're naked on the surface, you don't want to start running around next to mobs. It usually leads to pain and despair. And yeah, let's not go deeper down that hole. So, next up is that you want to try and find a cave on the surface that goes down a wee bit. Now, this is the tricky part, because it doesn't always happen that you manage to find a cave, but it's a try basis. So, should you find a cave, all good. You go down in the cave, you try and explore the cave to the best of your ability, and get as much iron as possible in order to get yourself suited up to at least diamond or iron armor, and an iron weapon, and an iron pickaxe, and a bucket. Those are the things you're gonna need when you're caving. If you're in 1.9 plus, you also need a iron, well, a shield, which I don't know why I wanted to say iron shield. I did it yesterday, but obviously there is no other shield, and it doesn't really look like an iron shield regardless. So yeah. Anyway, so shield is important if you're 1.9 plus. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the early game stuff. The goal is to find a cave that leads down to diamond level, which is below 16. Y equals 16, I should say. If you can find diamond level or lava lakes or anything like that, it is very convenient to try and run through caves a little bit fast paced there. Because the faster you are at caving, the better chance you'll have at finding diamonds, right? Because you'll see more of the cave. But also, the faster you run through a cave, the less time mobs have to spawn. Now, mind you, you still need to be safe and watch out for mobs that have already spawned, because, you know, they can hurt you. But I'm not the best caver, so I can't say too much about this. I've learned all I know from my good friend Flus, who taught me everything he knows about caving. No, but seriously, caving in UHC is one of the more underrated skills, because most people focus solely on PvP and stuff like that. But obviously, that is a big part. But But caving is also very important because that can get you your gear that you're going to use during the fights. If you're very overgeared as opposed to the other people, then you don't have to be as good at PvP, right? Now, coincidentally, I suck at both, but that's besides the point. I usually try and get about a stack and a half to 2 stacks worth of iron, and obviously as many diamonds and as many gold ingots as possible. That's not always possible, but you know. The diamonds, you need at least 5 if you want to enchant, which is the top priority for most people, because protection 2 iron is way better than no protection iron. Obviously, diamonds is better than that even, but we can't always get what we want. If you get 5 diamonds, you can use 3 of those to make the diamond pickaxe and mine some obsidian, which is where the water bucket comes in as well. And you can use the other 2 to actually make the enchanting table. Besides that, you obviously need lapis lazuli to actually enchant. That's been a thing since 1.8 in Minecraft. 1.7 not so much, but last time we tried playing a UHC in 1.5, it did not quite work out as planned, so don't do that. Just stick with 1.8 and up, really. That's pretty much best. And you would want to try and keep some extra books around. Because should you, for example, manage to get another 8 diamonds to make a chest plate, you would enchant your diamond chest plate, you would get like protection 1 on it, and you're like, well, how baller would it be to have protection 2 on this chest plate? And that's where the books come in. You can manage to get a protection 1 book, you can add it to your chest plate. Getting another chest plate, however, to combine with the other chest plate, that is more unlikely. So, yeah. In order to gather as many experience levels as possible, you would want to mine all the redstone you see initially, because the redstone is quite experience heavy, as well as lapis. You don't need to bother with coal so much until you get the enchant table, because that's when you start enchanting, losing all your levels. And that's where coal becomes more of a game player, because coal doesn't give you a lot of experience, but if you want to go from level 0 to level 3 to combine something, it doesn't take that much. So coal is the definite best thing you can do there. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So now that you've got your enchant table, you want to try, in my opinion, to get at least tier 2 items for your armor. So try to go for protection and maybe 1 or 2 projectile protection pieces. It kind of depends on your playstyle. If you're a person that does engage into bow fights with others, projectile protection can be very useful because it does negate bow damage a little bit. But if you're more of a melee-based PvP player, you might want to get a little bit more protection because projectile protection doesn't help much against swords. So, or axes, I guess. So it's kind of reflecting your playstyle. I usually go half and half. I have no idea if that's actually a good distribution, but I would say it hasn't failed me yet, but I've died so many times. Maybe I should switch it around at some point. Eh, worth thinking about. And then, if possible, and that's especially if you have an iron sword, it might be nice to get sharpness 3 and power 3 if you get enough string. Usually that happens when you find an abandoned mineshaft which has cobwebs in it. I don't know. It kind of depends on books as well, because in 1.9 plus, an axe is a valid option to use as a weapon, because it can slash through a shield and make the shield unable to use, so you can get a couple of hits in while you still have your shield if the other person doesn't have an axe. I actually showed that yesterday during the live stream charity you'd see, where Alton only had a sword and I held him off for like a solid minute and a half just blocking the sword strikes, because he didn't have an axe to break my shield. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation. So, but getting sharpness on an axe you can only do through books because you can't naturally enchant an axe with sharpness on it. So you'd have to have at least 2 to 4 books that you can enchant with sharpness in order to get a decent axe going. So it's a tricky thing. Some people try to go the route where they use the axe to get the shield away and then switch to a sword that is enchanted with sharpness and use that to actually slash at the people. That is a valid solution if you don't have sharpness book, or if you're just not that used or good at waiting for the axe, the melee cooldown to hit, because the melee cooldown for swords are just a lot lower time, so it's easier to use it that way, right? So it's more or less a preference as well. And the same can really be said about bows, though. Ever since 1.15, I believe, we have crossbows in the game. Now, crossbows with piercing can actually shoot through shields, which is incredibly OP in UHCs, as seen in UCC Season 10, not Sten, 10, sorry, which showed a lot of good usage coming out of a crossbow or two and completely annihilating me and Pat. So, yeah, that's something to keep in mind, people. Just a heads up. But yeah, now that you're fully enchanted and you have all the golden apples you could ever want, because obviously you found like 4 stacks of gold, you want to go to Meetup, because Meetup is happening. Now, my advice for Meetup, especially if you're in a situation where you're playing with a team, is don't split up. As soon as you split up in Meetup with your team, your how do I say this in a charity friendly way? You got yourself into a pickle there, young lad. Because splitting up basically means that the other team can bear down all of their forces on one person instead of both of yous, or all of yours, I guess, because it depends on whether or not how big the team is and all that jazz. So that could definitely pose an issue, and that's something you don't want to have happen. Nope. So try and stick together as much as possible. Obviously, it doesn't always happen like that, and in the heat of the moment, stuff might happen. If you see another team splitting up, then holy heck yes, go for that one person, because you can definitely try and kill them and then try to circle around for the other person, or at least try to find them. When you're fighting with somebody, keep in mind that you want to keep like the corner of your eye on your health bar. Should you get low, you want to try and get in that golden apple, which means backing off a little bit, trying to eat it, and keep an eye on your opponent. If they're coming at you, abandon all hope. No, but like what I'm trying to say is like, if they're coming at you, and you're still trying to eat the apple, they can get a solid like 3 hits in and kill you. It has happened to me a lot. I honestly don't quite know what to do in that situation because you can hardly run away at that point. So it's tricky. It's very tricky, but it's pretty much all I can think of to give you as advice. Another thing that can be very useful during PvP meetups is trapping, which constitutes for me lava buckets, flint and steel, or cobwebs. Should you find a abandoned mineshaft in a 1.12 UHC, this doesn't work in 1.8, you can use shears to actually pick up cobwebs. And if you place down cobwebs and somebody jumps into it, they have to break it before they can move along. If they don't have a sword on their hotbar, they're stuck for a while, and you can easily get some shots off with your bow. So it is definitely an idea that you can keep in mind. And then there's the lava bucket trick. Lava bucket trick. If you manage to place a lava bucket on somebody, ooh, they're in for a pickle. That will hurt for a little bit. Flint and steel are slightly less useful, but sometimes, you're thinking about it as you're going and you're like, oh, I have this piece of flint and this piece of iron, so let's just use it. For flint and steel, it's slightly less tricky. You just have to place it on the ground. Grass doesn't really work with that, like the tall grass. Um, yeah, they only take a couple of fire ticks of damage. I think it's like 4, but it's still 4 fire ticks of damage, right? So
That
anyway,
is very true. Could not be
that's
more
pretty
true.
much. Wow, I timed that perfectly, didn't I?
Yeah, I feel like you usually do. You've got your perfect internal clock apparently.
Yeah, I also have the stream up, sorta. So I did see the number, but
Oh
now that
yeah.
I've given away my secret and my secrets for how to UHC,
Did you
I'm gonna
mention the
give you
hoe
back.
trick?
I did not mention the hoe trick, but
Okay,
if
good.
you're happening to sit yourself up in a 1.17.1 UHC, hose break leave faster.
Yeah, I taught you that, right?
Did you?
I think I did during UCC 10. Because I
Oh,
remember I was
it's
like
also
so
in
ready to bring this.
1.16 then.
Yeah, I guess that was the first. All right, Sten, thanks for joining us as usual. I appreciate your help, and I hope you have the beautiful rest of your day, unless you go back to sleep. Then at some point, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Oh no, it's like 9:30. I should probably stay awake.
Yeah, you see, for me, that's still not the cutoff. Like, I can go back to bed if it's 9:30, but,
I
to each their own.
could, but that would be bad.
Fair enough. All right, I'll catch you later, Stan.
Good luck and go shoot some people.
Gotcha.